A very good morning, everyone. Today we are going to start our practice book unit 4, that is comparisons. And in previous video we have already talked about what are adjectives and what are their 3 degrees of comparison. Okay, and we already know this, that there are 3 degrees of adjectives. When we are just describing a noun, we use the first degree, that is called positive degree. And when we are comparing two things or two nouns, then we will be using comparative degree. And when there is comparison between more than two things, we will be using superlative degree, right? So let's start the worksheets given in your practice book. Now worksheet number 1 is, let's see the question. Explorer Bernard Boogies undertook an expedition to frozen lands of Siberia in the Arctic region. What is given over here? Bernard Boogies, who was an explorer. Explorer means a person who does journey for discovering something. And he had an expedition where? Which place? In Siberia, which is in Arctic region. Arctic region means we are talking about the places which are near to the North Pole, very cold places, right? And after coming back, he gives a real life account of his experiences to his son Harry. Now, when he comes back, he tells everything, all the experiences to his son. What is his son's name? Harry. Given below is the letter that Harry has written to his best friend Jemmy. Now, Harry is sharing that experience to his friend, to his best friend Jemmy. You have to read this letter and you have to see that how the degrees, different degrees of adjectives have been used in this letter. So let's see what is given. Dear Jemmy, I just cannot wait to share with you. My daddy went to Siberia to dig out the most ancient creature that roamed the earth more than 20,000 years ago. Now, what is underlined? Most ancient. First of all, we should know the meaning of ancient. It means very old. And most ancient means oldest one. Okay. Why most ancient? Because here the comparison is more between more than two creatures, because on the whole earth there were so many creatures. So the comparison is between more than two creatures. That's why superlative degree has been used. Next one is, the creature is called the woolly mammoth. And what was the name of the creature? Woolly mammoth. Daddy says that it was even larger than the dinosaurs in the size and older than existence. In fact, both of them were good friends. Now, the underlined adjectives are larger and older. Here, why larger? Comparative degree has been used, and older again comparative degree, because here the comparison is between two animals. Which ones? One is woolly mammoth and the other one is dinosaurs. Next is, in the snow-covered lands in the Arctic, Daddy had to travel to the farthest corners. Farthest. It is superlative degree, and this is why? Because there were so many places which were far away. So farthest one means comparison between more than two. Now next one is, with some other scientists to excavate the carcass of one of the biggest monsters. Now one of the biggest monsters. Why biggest? It is superlative degree, because here again there were so many monsters, and out of which we are talking about one. So here comparison again between more than two animals. The ears of the monster were smaller than those of today's elephant. Now here smaller is comparative degree, because the comparison is between two creatures, two animals. Which ones? The woolly mammoth and the today's elephant they are talking about. After the digging was over, a giant Russian helicopter lifted the frozen elephant it was heaviest cargo that it had ever lifted. Now again, what is the underlined word? Heaviest. Heaviest, and before that there was one more, were smaller than those of today's elephant we have talked about. Heaviest, why this is superlative degree has been used? Because the helicopter had lifted so many cargo. Cargo means so many material which was lifted. Okay, loads were lifted. So it is comparison between more than two things, right? The next one is 23 tons. Now the permafrost of the mammoth has been shifted into a deep cave. Permafrost, what does it mean? It means an area of land which is permanently frozen, and you all know that in Arctic region for the whole year there is snow, there is ice. So that's why permafrost means the soil which is totally frozen all the time, that is called permafrost. Now what is the word adjective underlined over here? Deep. Why? Which degree of adjective is there? It is positive degree, because it is, there is no comparison over here. This is just describing what kind of cave it was. Next one is hundreds of hair dryers are melting the permafrost uh, to help the scientists to have a look at the giant monster with the biggest tusks, with the longest tusks, I'm sorry. Giant monster. Monster means something scaring, some animal or some figure which is scaring, which is creating afraid, making you afraid. That is called monster. And what kind of monster it was? Giant. So it is just describing, there is no comparison. So that's why positive degree has been used. And longest is the superlative degree, because it was having the longest tusks, because so many elephants and mammoths were having the tusks, and it was having the longest one. So comparison is more between more than two animals. So this is the explanation of all the describing words which have been used in this worksheet. Now come to page number 29. There is an exercise. Some sentences have been given, and the options are given for the different degrees of adjectives. You have to tick or encircle the correct answer. Okay, so look at the first one. The woolly mammoth is the dash animal that roamed the earth. And the options are ancient, more ancient, or most ancient. Okay, so you all know that on the earth there were so many animals. So here comparison is between more than two animals. So that's why we have to use superlative degree. That is the answer, most ancient. Second part is mammoths are dash in existence than the dinosaurs. Now you can see here the comparison is between two animals, mammoths and dinosaurs. So which degree we have to use? The comparative degree, that is older. Now look at the third part. Mammoths had dash tusks than those of today's elephants. Again here you can see the comparison is between two animals, mammoths and elephants. So simply we have to use the comparative degree, that is longer. Next one is the Russian helicopter had lifted many loads earlier, but this one was the dash. Now we here you can see that the helicopter had lifted so many loads. So many loads means more than two times. So it means again there is comparison between more than two loads. So that's why superlative degree has to be used. That is the heaviest. Now number 5, the mammoth now rests in a dash cave where the permafrost around it is being melted, right? So here there is no comparison. Here the word the adjective which has to be used, that has to describe only the cave. There is no comparison between any two things or more than two things. So simply we have to use the positive degree, and that is deep. So that is all for today's work. Thank you. Have a nice day.